So how do you play chords on the violin? Chords are very difficult. The reason being is that you're basically playing combinations of double stops, and they're usually 3-note chords. Sometimes you will play a 4-note chord, similar to this, but generally speaking, that's pretty easy, given that you get to play 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top. So you're basically playing 2 double stops, 2 and 2. And that's generally how we play a 4-note chord. Sometimes we will have to do that, but let's leave that sort of out of this for right now. Let's just talk about how we're going to do 3-note chords, because those are the ones that I think are the hardest. And in certain concertos, like Bruch Violin Concerto, these come up where if you're playing, the Bach fugue, you have to play a lot of 3-note chords. And these definitely take some work and some learned technique that I'm going to show you. So let's just do a simple chord to start. Playing just a G major, bottom and top, playing open string, B natural, and G natural. What you'll notice that I try to achieve, and this is where it really takes a little bit of practice, is you need to figure out how to get the bow to balance on 3 strings without playing them in a way whereby we're squashing the string and making sort of an ugly sound. That is typically what you hear from a beginner student, this sort of desire to really kind of grind out these strings. And in actuality, what I'm trying to do, and I've talked about this in previous videos about pulling the bow with relaxed weight, you can actually pull the bow with the weight of the bow at the right speed and right point of contact without really doing much except balancing it on through all 3 strings. You can see that it's actually not so hard, but it takes a little bit of sort of getting used to find that balancing point where the string is kind of, the hair is hitting all 3 strings. So you can just try that to start. But again, I would also remind you that pushing with this index finger is definitely undesirable. As you can see, you can hear this sort of squashing and pressing that doesn't really sound that great. So let's try not to do that. That being said, what we really need to do is feel like we're pulling very much with this side of our hand, the right side of our hand, with a very flexed pinky. And I would also suggest playing them a little further away from the bridge and closer to the fingerboard to start, and actually trying to play them softly. You'd be surprised at how you can actually play 3 notes very quietly and very successfully and clearly without trying to struggle and, again, like press and force. That's, like I say, that's the worst thing we can do when trying to play a chord. Ultimately, we want to play them loud, but we don't want to do it with brute force and trying to strangle the violin with our hand in the way we're pressing. Like I say, this is completely unnecessary, even if we have to play them loud. Let me just demonstrate a few loud chords. So you can see I'm making a lot of sound, a whole lot of sound. How am I doing it? I'm doing it by pulling the bow with a lot of speed, with the right amount of weight and the right point of contact, having it balanced. Right from the beginning, though, let me just say this. The bow is very much balanced. I'm not pressing. I just have enough weight of the bow to cover 3 strings. It almost feels, to a certain extent, like I'm plucking 3 strings. You can even try that with your first 3 fingers of your right hand, pulling them at the same time, playing triple stops, 1, 2, and 3. And you could do it with 2, 3, and 4. So try that just to get a feel for how the bow pulls the string. So, let me do it again. So if you've noticed, I don't know if you're familiar, right now I'm playing the first caprice of Don't. It's spelled D-O-N-T. It's a good book, and you can use that book for other things, but I think this particular etude, or excuse me, this caprice is very useful for learning how to play 3-note chords. So Before we actually attempt to play the chords, let me show you some other aspects of what we need to do with the left hand to make this work. So let's play them as 2-note double stops with the lower 2 strings and then the upper 2 strings. And we'll play it in a way that is very relaxed, very legato. So those are the first 3 notes of the chord. Let's just get those in tune. And what's also extremely important, and it's fundamental to playing the chords, and if any of you play the guitar, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's the left hand. If that left hand is not ready on the chord, I don't care how well you play with the bow and how well you pull sound, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work no matter what, because the left hand is not prepared and balanced in the same way the right hand was balanced. So let's just do this again, slowly, with our balance of the left hand being intact for each chord and each double stop for right now. So without moving the hand, we're going to play 2 double stops. And then the next one is E natural, C natural, B flat. So I'll do it again, slowly. Fingers ready. One more time. Again, I'm really focusing on the fingers being ready. Fingers ready. I feel relaxed. I feel like I'm doing this without much stress. I'm just playing simple double stops, left hand being super in control, super structured with the hand, super, like I say, still. And then once we get that, let's try and do it slowly and play 3 notes. Fingers ready, fingers ready. Fingers ready. Okay? Send me a video just of those three double stops, those 3 chords. It's a simple, just F major and then a C7. Okay? Just that would be sufficient to kind of at least get the technique down. Then once we get good at this, sort of other sort of aspects of the chord to kind of take note of is the way they ring. And that being said, we can use the fingers to finish the chord to kind of give those strings sort of resonance. So watch me just do it open strings. So I pull with the arm, but I finish with the fingers. You can hear the strings ringing. So let me do this. Each time the fingers are prepared, each time I'm letting the bow balance, each time I'm finishing with the fingers to let the strings resonate. If you get really good at that, you can try and do it backwards. Up bow. That's much harder than the down bows for sure. Then, if you can do both up and down, do them back and forth. Each time, fingers ready, bow balanced. These are different ways to play chords and different techniques. All are very much learned techniques and take a good bit amount of time. Send me your videos when you have any questions or when you feel as if you have learned it sufficiently.